school in St. Paul, Minnesota, called the Red Schoolhouse, opened in 1975. It's located in a building that was once a Catholic grade school. The old inscription, "Suffer the little children to come unto me," has a new, more personal meaning to the students that come to the Red Schoolhouse.
The kids that come here by whichever route, the Red Schoolhouse represents the last stop. The last stop before reformatory, for some prison. The last stop before drugs and alcohol. The last stop before suicide.
Most of the 16,000 Indian people in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area unfortunately find city life another of the white man's broken promises.
On some reservations in Indian communities, the unemployment rate is 100%.
Among Indians, unemployment is so high, the average income is less than $2,000 per year. Life expectancy is only 47 years. Despair takes its toll in suicide and alcoholism, which is the #1 killer of Indian people. The adults' legacy of poverty and hopelessness is passed down to their children, 60 to 80% of whom drop out of public school.
Yeah, I went to a lot of public schools. There ain't too much to tell about them. They're just... Most of the ones that I went to, they don't like Indians too much.
The other kids make fun of me.
What do they say, Becky?
They say Indian lips.
What do they say?
Indian lips.
A lot of times we have a stereotype put on us that we're just whiskey drinking Indian.
I went to public schools and got in fights. The principal told me not to fight the kids. I said, tell them quit teasing me.
Yeah, I got in a lot of fights. At one time I got stitches in my lip for getting in a fight.
For 14 years, Eddie Benton Banai, like many Indians, worked high atop the cities as an iron worker building skyscrapers. But the problems of his people and their children so overwhelmed him, he decided to do something.
I just saw too many young people on the streets of Minneapolis, on the streets of St. Paul, on the streets everywhere. I got very angry and jumped up and said, that's it. We need the school, and we need it now, and the school is going to begin tomorrow. We prepare them to survive. In order to survive, you must be able to read, to balance your checkbook. You must be able to know the time of the day. These are all basic education, but over and above that, it's the culture-based education which treats the soul and the heart and the confidence and the courage and the knowledge of who oneself is. The society de-Indianizes and dehumanizes. Well, the school gives that back. We give them back their pride.
We're like brothers and sisters here.
How come?
It's just the way like we believe.
The idea of brotherhood among the 3 tribes, among clans. If I didn't feel close to the kids, I would not be here. I would still be erecting iron somewhere. Iron is a very cold, passionless, sterile piece of structure. Kids are human, warm, compassionate. They laugh, love, and they cry. We wipe away a lot of tears.
Indians wins, they call it a slaughter, but when the white man wins, it's just called a battle, and the Indians...
That's a good observation. So that's using words and causing misconceptions. Remember that word that we just mentioned? So that's a lot of misconceptions. That's where they come from.
Southern Appalachian Square.
Staff is not chosen on a basis of race. Credentials are secondary to being able to have a rapport with the kids who are here.
It's like being a mother to a lot of kids. Some of them, you know, are problems, but when you see them start coming around, it's really a joy, and I wouldn't change it. I'd work for nothing, I guess.
The ability to put your arm around kids, to wipe away some tears, that is the #1 requisite. It's not the color of your hair, your skin, or your eyes. It's the color of your heart.
Sometimes we have to make do with some pretty shoddy materials.
We didn't have any pencils. We didn't have any paper. There's many things, learning aids, we didn't have anything. And I kept on asking for money, and they said there wasn't any. So what I did is I've taken money out of my own pocket and bought all these things.
The school does not receive any basic support or foundation monies from the state of Minnesota. It's all from our own self-help efforts, and we pray a great deal.
Many of the students are sent by the courts in public schools, but the school receives no local funding. The mayor of St. Paul explains why.
Who have great needs throughout the city. Inevitably, those needs are shared by the vast majority of the people, And any individual kind of project like the Red Schoolhouse will be pretty low in the priority of that group of people. It's a function of numbers. It's not too good, but it's also a natural, democratic kind of need.
Because of lack of funds a year ago, Eddie couldn't rent and the landlords foreclosed, but they were in for another Indian war.
We were faced with an eviction by the Sheriff's Department. Students, staff, and parents came together and said, if we are going to be evicted, we're going to have to be evicted forcibly. So we barricaded the whole building and waited for the forces to arrive.
The event generated public concern, and people sent Eddie enough money to make a small down payment on the building, and the school became theirs.
What happened was the people themselves worked that out. That's really what happened. It wasn't public intervention. It wasn't power. It was really working together. And that's to the credit of the leadership of people like Eddie, Benton, Banai.
It's unfortunate the accomplishments of this school go unnoticed. The only time that we ever receive any attention is when we barricade ourselves in here or create sensational news. But the fact that another girl has graduated who plans to attend the university does not seem to make any news. The fact that we have put back together split families, that families have become taxpayers and wage earners, that seems unimportant.
Someday, maybe we will have 100 seniors sitting up here, but I hope it's not in this room.
It really makes you feel proud when you see these kids graduate and go on to college, because you know that they've had a hard road. Just being Indian, being in poverty areas, and even their peers that are not in school are their own enemies.
I think it's important for America to know that Indians can do ballet, Indians can be gymnastics, Indians can be engineers, and all those things, you know, that they think that they can't be.
The struggle is not to educate Indian kids. They are eager to learn. They want to have skills and goals. That's not the struggle. Indian communities want to have control and something to say about how their kids are educated. And the struggle is to affect that. And once having affected, then the struggle is to keep it.
Today, the Red Schoolhouse still struggles to continue, totally financed by a people who themselves are well below the poverty level. It stands as the only lifeline to save their children. Everyone works under the constant fear of losing what they've worked so hard to get.
If the school were to close down, I don't know what would happen to these children. They'd be lost.
Well, if the school closed down, I'd just quit school. I don't know. I don't think I'd want to go back to the public schools. Too much of a hassle.
What would you do if you didn't go to school?
Nothing.
As long as I live and breathe, the school will not close. For as long as I live and breathe.
A 12-year-old student wrote, "When you come into this world, you're born with a talent. I want to tell you about my talent. It's being what I am, an Indian."